Hey famous warrior, welcome back to our channel. Today I am super excited about the guest that's here. She is my sister's best friend, so by default she's also my sister. And we're gonna make this episode so fun so that when Ursula watches it she can be jealous that she was not here. But I have with me today Shakeela Mulla, and she's going to be here to talk about her pivot power, her times in her life where she's had to exercise her pivot muscle, what that's looked like in her life so far, and what she's learned along the way. So Shakeela, thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you for having me.
I know this isn't your forte. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this chat because I know a bit about this story, but I don't know like the details. Because I know you talk mostly to Ursula, so I'm excited to hear the details and learn the details. And while I'm learning the details, the people who are watching get to also learn about your story and pick up one or two things that they can also apply in their lives. So thanks again for making the time to be here. And in true famous warrior fashion, we're gonna start off by you telling us a bit about yourself in 5 sentences. Only 5.
Okay, so I'm the firstborn child.
Okay.
I love my family, my friends. I'm passionate about baking. I'm a foodie. I love me some good food.
Yeah.
And I like to serve and help people.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm passionate about that as well.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So before we get into the meat of your pivot power, which is mainly about your business, your career path and all that stuff, I want you to take us back to high school, to 9th grade Shakeela, 10th grade Shakeela, that awkward teenager that was still discovering who she was, what she was interested in, what she was good at, and what were things that you were thinking about in terms of career at that time? Like, okay, when I finish school, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to pursue. Where was your head at that time?
Okay, so grade 9, around that period. Okay, so for me, I remember at some point I wanted to be a lawyer. Yes, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a teacher. At some point I wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
Like I had just, I wasn't really sure. Yes, but then more of a teacher, actually. I used to love, when I'm done with class, I'll actually get chalk. I'll start teaching my friends in class. You can actually ask Ursula, she would tell you. And, my friends would be seated. And then I'll just start, they would, encourage me and laugh at me. They're like, yeah, you'd actually suit to be a teacher. So for me, I really wanted, like around that period, to be a teacher. Yes. Well, I was still thinking, I wasn't too sure.
Okay.
But I loved that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now fast forward to when you did complete high school, and then tell us about that period. Did you take a gap year? What did you end up deciding to get into career-wise? How long did it take you to apply to university? Was there pressure from your family? Like, walk us through that period and how you went about now getting into university to study what it is that you did study.
Okay, so for me, I was done in 2011, and the way the syllabus is, at least I've usually like get done a year before.
Yeah.
Yes. So after that, I wasn't too sure. Like I was done. I'm like, okay, then what do I love to do? I started discovering like, okay, I love people. I like helping. Like maybe let me do something to do with charity work, But I wasn't too sure.
Yeah.
So in that period, I remember I was supposed to leave the country and go and study somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I was still figuring out. And in that period, I said, okay, let me just do like a foundation course. That's how I went to Cavendish that time. I went to do like a foundation course. I was still applying to leave to go. From there, things didn't go according to plan.
Yeah.
Yes. Then that's how I ended up applying at Unilas. I was thinking, so I love, serving and just like helping in, like, what course can I do that will, go with that.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up, doing some research. Then I said, okay, development studies is broad. You can go into like those departments that you're passionate about. So that's how I decided to apply for development studies at University of Lusaka.
Okay.
Yes, that's when I started in like 2015. That was after I did my foundation course.
Right.
Yes.
So there was a 4-year gap.
Yes, more like a 4-year from like 11.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I was still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And when things didn't go according to plan, I ended up going to University of Lusaka. I ended up applying there.
Okay. So tell us a bit about the plan that didn't work out.
Okay.
And because you've alluded to the fact that you were supposed to go and study abroad, how did you navigate that? As a young lady, you have this aspiration to go and study abroad, and then it doesn't work out the way you hoped. How did you bounce back from that? How did you make peace with, okay, I'm going to go to University of Lusaka, which is a local university, but that's okay, and I'm going to do my best there. Tell us a bit about that situation.
Okay. I won't lie, I was a bit disappointed. I was sad. I can't say I was really depressed, but of course after telling your friends, I'm applying and everything, then things don't go according to plan. So it was a bit, really sad for me. But then I just said, life goes on. Let me apply. University of Lusaka is a good university. Let me just go and start from somewhere instead of just waiting. Who knows, maybe I would go and do my master's somewhere else. So I decided to apply at University of Lusaka. So I picked myself up and started.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so now we are at the University of Lusaka. We've, gotten into this field of study, development studies. While you were in, I'm assuming it was like a 4-year degree, right?
Yes.
So while you were in that 4-year period, what were your hopes for after? Like you said, this course it's a broad course, so many options, so many paths that you could have gone down. So while you are studying and getting to know, like, okay, I'm learning this course of study and I'm also learning more about myself, as you are approaching your graduation, what was your thought process then about your career and what you would do after graduation?
Okay, so for looking at the field of study that I was in, I definitely had hopes of working at the UN. I think that's like almost every development study expert's dream is to work, like at organizations as big as the UN. So I had those dreams, and to work with, just to be a development expert and just changing the world and helping people, because that's what I love to do. So that's what I had in mind. So as I was studying, I remember I'll take part. I was a member in something called the Leo Club that does charity work.
Okay.
Yes. At some point, I even became president of the club because I was so passionate about that. Yes. So it was
okay. Okay. And then after graduation, now it's real life. Real life. Now you have to start figuring out what you're gonna do with this knowledge that you have and try and build this life now for yourself. So run us through some of the things that happened after that. I know there's that excitement after graduation. You and your classmates are all excited that, okay, guys, we've done it. We've crossed the finish line, so to say. And what's the next chapter going to be? Run us through that, job applications, where your mindset was at. You don't have to mention any of the organizations you applied to, but just run us through, for example, how many job applications roughly did you send out? That kind of thing.
Okay, I don't think I mentioned this, but I also bake. Yes, I also bake. So I used to bake. I started baking actually before I finished university. I started baking like in 2012. just as a hobby, bake at home, or bake, and then when people taste my treats,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, your cakes
Make
are
this for
nice.
me.
Yes, are you able to make? I'm like, no, I don't sell. Like
Yeah.
I just bake for home. Then when I was in university, I had an opportunity of baking for the same club that I was talking about, the Leo Club. That's where we had some fundraising program that we had to raise funds for charity. That's how I started baking, like, often, so that we sell in school. Yes, we sell in school and raise funds for the same club. So when people come and buy, they'll be like, oh, who baked this? Who baked this? That's how people would order. From there, I was just like, for real, let me. It's not so much of a bad idea. Plus, when you're a student, it's a bit difficult. You don't really have like money. You just rely on your parents. So I'm like, okay, let me start small. I used to bake like some cupcakes. People would buy, and then before I knew it, I started baking like small cakes. Yes, and people would order. One side I'm studying, another side you find that I've got an order like for cakes. So for me, when I graduated, I had something I had some income coming in somewhere. Yes, with the business. I hadn't yet like registered and everything, but people would still order. They would order. So even as I was applying for some jobs, I knew that I have my business at the side. And I was trying to think of a plan to say that, okay, if I do start working, then how will I be able to balance and still bake my cakes and go to work? Okay, so I remember I applied at maybe 1 or 2 places. Just when I finished graduating, me and my friends were excited. Now, okay, let's go. Would all take to maybe the same place. These job opportunities. They'll send, would go, would print out, would do our CVs, would send, would go and drop off. But we never got any feedback. Yes, we never got any feedback. And for me, like just that, just when you're done with university, I didn't want to just focus on just applying, at different places. I was like, I have something for myself at the moment. So let me also invest and put my time and energy in this because it's my baby. Let me start from somewhere. That's how I went. I registered the business and I said, I don't have everything. Yes, but let me start from somewhere. Let me start with what I have. That's how I went. I bought, just a few equipment, just like the basic things we need, like those really important things for baking. Then before I knew it, with time, like, people would order. It became, often. People would order cakes and everything. And here we are now 5 years later. Yes, so Kila Bakes is turning 5 this year.
Wow.
In November.
Wow. Do you think that because you had, your business, that you were able to pivot quickly? Or did you still go through the motions of feeling like, did I pick the right course of study? Why are my friends getting jobs and I'm not getting a job? What was your self-talk like at that period? Because right now, as you're telling us this story, it kind of sounds like you were just like, well, this has happened, it's not working. I'm just gonna, focus on my plan B and make my plan B my plan A. So take us back to 5 years ago and run us through some of the emotions that you were going through at that time and how you managed to just pick yourself back up and say, you know what, I have this thing that I've started and I'm gonna just take it forward rather than me sitting there and waiting for these jobs that are not really coming through.
Okay, so when I started job hunting, when I was like job hunting and everything, it's stressful. I won't lie, it's quite stressful. And I can't say that I applied at over 10 organizations or something. But I feel like at some point after I applied, I just had this thing in me like, okay, why not? You love baking, you're passionate about that. Why not focus on this maybe go into this for now. And who knows, maybe with time, when maybe someone calls you, or an organization or a company, they just call you, like, let's see how things will be by then.
Yeah.
So I'll say that I wasn't really, just focused on the job hunting. No, I wasn't. I started now putting my mind on my business. How am I going to grow it? What do I need to do? Okay, let me come up with a vision for my business. And I was thinking, like, okay, for real, if I do start working, then this vision that I have for my business will actually die, because baking is not something that you can just delegate easily and tell someone. You need to have someone. People don't have the same dream as you, and the same passion and creativity. So let's say I employ someone who's just going to be baking for me. It's different, than you, who has the passion. You put in your love, and you love to do it. That skill that you put into it.
Yeah, because you have people that do bake.
Yes,
you can tell when you eat their cakes, like this one, she didn't do herself. Her hand is not like you can
actually tell that this is this is Kila bakes. She's the one who's baked that. Yes. So I was thinking, I'm like, first, if I do start working, then meaning my dream and just that passion that now that I'm focusing on, like, it won't be the way it is. So I even stopped. Like, I stopped even thinking of working for someone. I said, let me be my own boss. Let me work for myself. So from that time, I've never worked, actually. And I remember I had a time, someone actually called me, an organization actually called me and said, oh, we got your CV. We're having, are you able to come through for interviews and everything? And I was thinking at that point now my business was, growing. It had reached a point where I'm thinking, okay, if I do go for those interviews tomorrow and I get the job, then what happens to my business? Who's going to take over? I thought about it, then I actually didn't go, and there'd be times maybe if business is a bit slow, think about it. I'm like, what did I do? I had those moments. I want, like, those moments do come. Like, maybe if I had gone for that, it would have been different. Maybe with finances and things like that, maybe I should have given it a shot, But then it's something that I really, like, brush off. I don't think about it too much because I know that this is what I love to do. This is my dream. I'm passionate about it, and I want my business to, as my slogan is making the world a better place. I have a vision to be international. It's not just Kila Bakes in Lusaka, Zambia. We want to be international as well.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So if I do, let's say, go into, like, formal employment, then that dream can't work. Because now I'm focusing on something else and I'm not focusing on my business and growing it. Yes.
Wow. Before we now dive into your business and the pivot from the corporate world into your business, I just want to ask this question. Where did you get that from? That determination, that drive, like, have you ever stopped to think, like, because you're not the average young person that would tell me, I didn't go full force into this job hunting thing. I didn't get depressed. I just picked myself up and I moved on to the next. Like, that's not the typical young person's attitude. So where did you get that from? Is that just something that's innate? Is it a gift from God? Is that your upbringing? Is it your mom? Like, where did that come from?
To be honest, I think I get it from my mom. Like, we don't dwell on, if things don't work out, we think of a plan. We don't say, oh no, get sad, we're go-getters. I'll say we're go-getters. So if we have a plan, I'm the type of person that likes, I'm a doer. I like to do things. And I'll try it out. I won't just sit and say, okay, it's not working. Even if I have one customer that day for cakes, because that's how business gets. I still push and I'm determined. I don't sit down and say, okay, just because I have an order for a box of cupcakes in a week, then let me, give up. Sometimes you find that even in a week, just when I started doing the same business, you find that you go a whole week without having not even an order. You just have maybe one box of cupcakes, even in 2 weeks, But then I still baked. I still went
Gave it your
ahead. Yes,
best.
I gave it my best, and I didn't sit and say, no, my business is not going well at the moment. Let me just try and do something else. Let me continue, go and look for a job. No, I continued going. So, it's
Awesome. Okay. So I want to now dive into the baking thing. But before we get into it, where did this baking thing start? You mentioned, yes, it was a hobby, but how old were you when you started baking? Who taught you how to bake? Those kinds of things. Like, when did this passion start?
let's say around 2011. So in my last year of high school, I used to just bake at home.
Yeah.
We have so many recipe books. I'll just get some, try them out, and watch just videos on the phone. And then I remember there's this, the cocoa tin. Sometimes at the back they'll put recipes, and I'll try them out. Then I just realized, I'm like, this is actually fun. I love to do it. So I started quite young.
Yeah.
When I was still in high school, when I was almost done, I started quite young. I'll just bake for home.
Yeah.
Just bake for us to eat. And then with time, when I was done, before I went to university, I would experiment also. I would just get different types of recipes. I'm a self-taught baker. I haven't been to proper baking
school.
classes or baking school. I've taught myself most of the things. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I go through some recipe books. I have books where I say, okay, let me try this out. So, yeah. Okay. So that passion has been there from a very young age.
And who taught you how to bake?
Who taught me how to bake? Myself, I think. Myself. And I think it's just a family thing, because my mom loves to bake as well. My mom is good at cooking. I think maybe it's just something we have. My sister is also really good at cooking. I have aunts who also bake. Yes. So who taught me how to bake? I think it's just the interest. Myself. I taught myself. So when I'll try at home, I see this doesn't go well, I'll try out a different recipe and would bake with my mom and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So tell us about your business, your baby, Kila Bakes, turning 5 this November. What are some highlights, especially from the beginning, that you can share? One of your favorite memories or your favorite orders, especially from the beginning, that you're like, I'm so happy that this happened. And then also a low moment where you botched an order or almost botched an order or something along those lines.
Okay, I think one of the best moments for me, I think I have quite a number. Yeah, I've had some pretty good opportunities. Sometime last year, I think beginning of January last year, I had an opportunity to bake the cake for the current Chief Justice of Zambia.
Wow.
Yes, so someone actually called me he's getting sworn in as the Chief Justice and would like Kila Bakes to make the cake, and he's written some books and would love the theme to be, his books, all 3 of his books.
Wow.
And I was thinking, I'm like, oh, are you serious, Lord? I've never done this before. Books. And then she sent an inspiration of what she wanted, and I'm like, can I pull this off? And I'm like, okay, this is Kila Bakes. I've made the Lamborghini cake before. I think we can pull the books off.
Wow.
So I was asking, I'm like, when do you need the cake? Because, you need time to plan and see how you're going to do it. And then she's like, I need it by next week. Okay, the date hasn't really been set. We don't really know. But then I'll let you know. But we need the cake next week. Are you able to pull it off? And I was thinking, part of me wanted to say no. They're like, no, I don't think that's short notice. But then I said, let me say yes, I can manage. Let me try. It's a challenge that I'll take. So that's how I accepted, and I made it. I made the cake. It came out really
nice.
Really nice, yes.
Awesome.
And another opportunity, I think you recently saw the Coca-Cola cake that I did.
Yes.
I also got called a few days before.
Wow.
Like, are you able to pull this off?
Wow.
Like, this cake.
Wow.
Yes. But I did. I managed to pull it off, and they were really happy with it.
So when you have such an order, do you experiment before, like try to make the whole cake from start to finish before, so that you kind of see how the process will go and what you need to fix before the actual, or is it like, let's just go, we're just doing this?
I won't lie to you, it's always like, let's just take the risk. Let's take the risk. Yes, even with the books for the Chief Justice cake, that was my first time doing it. The Lamborghini cake, that was my first time.
Wow.
I watch videos. I watch a lot of videos, so I'm just like, okay, this is how I should do it. Then I start making it. I don't make them on the same day. Maybe find a day before, and then it depends on how the cake is.
Yeah.
Yes, you can even make it like 2 days before, so that you know that this is how it should look, so that you're not panicking in case anything happens.
Yeah.
So I take a risk. I make it there. Even the Coca-Cola cake.
Oh my
I made it like a day before. And I'm like, I can pull this off. I watched so many videos on YouTube. How do I make the bottle stand to the top?
Yes.
How does that work? How am I going to transport it? Making sure like it doesn't fall. So yeah, I've had such good opportunities. Yeah.
And a baker's, I would assume a baker's worst nightmare is making the cake. It's so beautiful when it leaves your kitchen, and then you put it in the car to transport it, deliver it, and then something goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Have you ever, like, tell us about a time when that happened? What, like, I always think of moments like that, and what I would do. Like, what would I do? Would I just sit there and just start crying? Like, what has happened in that department for you, and what have you done in such a moment?
Trust me, I have had so many moments like that, especially when I was beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really have the knowledge of how to transport cakes. Sometimes I would actually even tell the customer, no, you can pick up a 2-tiered cake, and maybe let's say that's a wedding cake. We don't advise, like, if you're the baker and baking the cake, go and mount it at the venue. So I've had moments where I've actually reached and I'm about to set up and the cake is cracking, things are not happening according to plan. But thank God I have like a really supportive team. I have people around me who are really supportive when such things start happening. Like they're there to calm you down. Like, okay, calm down. If you start panicking, we can't solve anything if you're panicking. I remember I had a wedding cake that I went to mount at the venue. And when I was trying to put it on display, I didn't support it, like, I didn't put enough dowels to support the cake. So when I was putting the cake on top, the other cake, because it was a 3-tiered cake, it started putting pressure on the cake at the bottom. Then it started, cracking and making.
Like splitting.
And and this is a time where you're under pressure and guests are arriving.
Yeah, so they're seeing what's happening.
They're like, okay, she's mounting the cake, but they don't know, like, okay, this is what's going on. And I'm telling my people, like, oh, you guys, the cake is cracking. God. It's going to be bent. How are we going to do this? So I was just told, okay, let's think of a plan.
Yeah.
That's how I started thinking, okay, we brought enough sticks. Let's try and get a board, a cake board. We managed to put it. We managed to put some icing. It was something.
Wow.
And then I remember, there are always those aunties at an event who come to check. Yes, so she comes and she goes like, so I remember for me to cover up, I had to put like flowers on the cake, on the part that cracks, so that it doesn't show. Yeah. And then she comes, she's like, you've actually put too many flowers. Oh, I know, like, it's not supposed to have too many flowers. I'm like, no, this is how the bride actually wanted. She was like, okay. Anyways, but we still managed to control the situation. But I panic. Like, when such things happen, I really panic.
Yeah.
But then I've learned, not to panic too much, because I know that I'm not going to solve anything. So I've had moments where I'm about to deliver a cake, the cake falls out of your hand. That happened this year, actually.
Oh my gosh, Shakeela. And then what do you do?
The recent one, actually, I reached the shop. I'm looking at the shop. I'm about to deliver the cake. And someone called me. Like, someone saw me. Like, oh, Shakeela, you know. So I turned and I was absent-minded. Like, I didn't pay attention. So the cake slipped, it went out, and they're just watching me about to deliver the cake. Then the cake went all the way to the tire of the car. It smudged or something. And then they're all looking at me and like, okay, we don't know.
What's next?
What next? It was, yes, that's how I picked it. I'm like, oh no. And the people like, no, it's fine. Don't be sad. I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh my God.
You had just ruined everything.
Yeah.
And I told them, I'm like, are you cutting it right now? They're like, no, actually having lunch first. Then I'm like, I'll be back. I just said, please give me an hour.
I'll be back.
I said, give me an hour. Like, okay, thank God they were really understanding. Yeah. I went back. I managed to make things work.
Yeah.
In an hour, I managed to deliver it. And yes, I've had moments. I've had crazy moments.
Wow.
That's just a few, but yeah, I've had crazy moments.
Yeah. Your pivot muscle is strong. Your pivot game is strong, girl. It is strong. I think I didn't know just how strong even when I was calling you to come and sit with me and have this conversation. But from listening to you, it's like, wow, your pivot game is strong. And I want to just say for the record, you know, you being my sister's best friend, like I said in the beginning, you are like a sister to me. And I'm super proud of you. I'm so proud of what you're doing. Like, even just hearing you talk about the vision of your business, it's like, wow. And because of the determination that I can even hear in your voice, like, it's going to happen. Like, I know it's going to happen. You're going to make it happen. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And as we are concluding, I just want to hear and have you share with the people watching, what are some sacrifices that you've had to make for your business? Because people will hear this story and they're like, okay, you know, it didn't work out with her applying for jobs. She had this side hustle already going and she just built on that. They would assume that it's been all easy, you know. It's been the graph that's just going up the past 5 years. But tell us about some of the down moments and the sacrifices that you've had to make for your business to have it be what it is today.
Less sleep. Yeah, because, you know, sometimes you'll find you have back-to-back orders. You find the whole week you're just booked, you're baking. You know, you don't even have time for like family and friends, you know. And you even feel bad to say, okay, you know, you've made your friends make plans and everything, or you want to spend time with your family. And you're like, you know, I've got an order, I've got cakes that I need to do. So just being able to sacrifice and not, you know, putting enjoyment aside. Yes, and just saying, you know, this is not important at the moment. What's important is my business. Growing it, if you have, you know, pumping into it when you made some money instead of going out there and buying shoes and clothes. The first thing you think of is your business. You know, what can I get, or how can I improve it? You know, it's not about you anymore. It's just like, okay, you know, your baby that needs to grow. You know, if you find an opportunity, you need to get like a mixer and things like that. So it's not about you. So you really need to sacrifice. You need to put in a lot of hard work, lots of hard work actually, and just being consistent. Like the consistency in business, that's really, I think that's why I'm where I am today. Is because of that consistency, and not 1 minute I'm, you know, okay, no, I'm baking, next minute, no, I'm not taking orders and things. So just being able to always have that, provide that quality service and being professional, that's what has made me.
I've had situations where there's somebody who, you know, I like their cakes, and then you kind of plan in your mind that, okay, I'll make an order, I'll get from there, and then it's like, oh, we're not taking orders right now indefinitely. You know, and I know life happens, and there are definitely situations that call for that, but I think our generation especially lacks that tenacity to provide consistency in what they're doing. It's like, I'll do it while it's interesting. I'll do it while it's fun. I'll do it while it's making me the money. And then the minute that doesn't happen, or the minute I lose interest, then I'm on to the next thing. But you've been at this for 5 years and counting. And having that track record that customers know they can rely on you. They can give you an order even if it's short notice because of something that also just came up, and you have their back because you want to help them get to that, make that event or whatever it is that their vision is for that cake or that order happen. So yeah, that's a really good point. If you could go back to the 9th grade and 10th grade Shakeela that we started talking about at the beginning of this conversation, knowing what you know now, would you change anything?
No, I wouldn't change anything actually. You know, I was actually laughing with Usha the other day. I was saying, I was like, God is a God of humor, I'm like, look, because I recently started baking classes. I finished my baking class. I started teaching. Yes, I started teaching. I had my first ever baking class that I had this past week, and I was actually saying that, I feel so fulfilled, like when I'm teaching. And at some point I wanted to be a teacher, I'm like, okay, so maybe this could be, like one way to share my gift and just, go into it, because at some point that's what I wanted to do. So looking back, I don't regret that I did choose like being a lawyer and everything. I love what I do. Yeah, I'm passionate about it, and I wouldn't change anything. So right now my focus is business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. In conclusion, if you could say one or two things to someone watching who is where you were 5 years ago. They just finished uni, or they're about to finish, or maybe they're in their last year, and they have that excitement of, hitting the ground running, so to say. What would you have them know about what they can do if things don't go according to plan, which they rarely do?
Yeah.
They rarely do. They rarely go according to exactly the plan that we've laid out. So what words of advice would you have for somebody like that? And you can look directly into the camera and speak to that person.
Okay. Stay focused, work hard, and don't give up. Because if you do give up, I think life doesn't feel sorry for anyone. Just keep going and always have... know that your hard work will pay off one day. Because even when I had started with business, I was thinking, I'm like, I feel like I'm always, putting in so much. But trust me, there's always someone watching. There's always someone out there who said, okay, they see your stuff. People actually do see your stuff. And they say, okay, sometimes I know a lot of people get discouraged even when they're out there. You might get even one like on your photo. You think people are not watching your things. Trust me, there's always someone watching. And that's how doors open. And another thing, just start. There's never a right time. We always like to, procrastinate and say, okay, when I have everything, that's when I'm going to start my business. That's when I'm going to go ahead. But there's never a right time. Just start with what you have. And you see how God will bless the work of your hands. Just when you when you just start. When you put your hands to it.
Wow. Hashtag life doesn't feel sorry for anybody. If you didn't get anything out of this entire conversation, write that down somewhere. It needs to be put on a t-shirt or something.
You need to keep going.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Shakeela,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, your words of wisdom. And I'm so happy to know the details, and as I cheer you on to know like the backstory and where it came from. So thank you so much for being here. Famous Warriors, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you have taken, if for nothing else, I hope that you have taken that life can only be what we make it. And if your pivot game is not as strong as Shakeela's, it's not the end of the world. You can still get there if you take her advice. don't give up. Keep going. Pick yourself up. No matter what hasn't gone according to plan, just pick yourself up and keep going, because at the end of the day, that's all we can do. Our chance to fight this life and keep going is a privilege, and you guys are definitely worth that fight.